Hey everyone, before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more real-life stories and lessons you won't want to miss. I never imagined that being ignored for an entire month could feel like being wiped off the face of the earth. But that's exactly what happened with Claire. We had been together for 5 years. In all that time, I never expected that the woman I loved so fiercely could suddenly act as though I didn't exist. My name is Daniel, I'm 34, and I thought I understood her. I thought I understood us. I was completely wrong. It all began one seemingly ordinary morning. Claire kissed me goodbye before work, smiling as she reminded me, "Don't forget our dinner plans tonight." I waved, thinking nothing of it. But by evening she never showed up. Texts went unanswered. Calls ignored. At first I told myself she must be busy, maybe caught up in her day. But days turned into a week, and the silence persisted. 2 weeks in, a creeping anxiety settled in my chest, refusing to leave. By the 3rd week it turned into a quiet, simmering anger, blended with confusion I couldn't shake. When the 4th week arrived, it wasn't just anger or confusion anymore. It was disbelief. How could the woman I trusted completely vanish without a single explanation? I tried everything. Notes left on the table. Long, heartfelt messages. Even discreet calls to her friends to make sure she was okay. Nothing. It was as though she had stepped into a world where I simply didn't exist. Friends told me maybe she just needed space, maybe she was overwhelmed. But deep down I knew the truth. This wasn't about space. This was about control. And much as it hurt to admit, I realized I had been letting her control me. The nights were the worst. Lying awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation, every argument, every tiny detail, wondering if I had somehow caused this. But deep down I knew I hadn't. This wasn't punishment. This was a test, and she assumed I'd fail. Then one Friday evening, as I sat scrolling through old photos, vacations, birthdays, even lazy Monday mornings with coffee and newspapers, my phone buzzed. Claire's name flashed on the screen. My heart froze. I almost ignored it, fearing another wave of heartbreak. But curiosity won. Her message was short, almost casual. "See lesson learned." I stared at it, a mix of shock, relief, and fury churning inside me. Lesson learned? What lesson? I hadn't done anything wrong. My hands shook as I started to type a reply, but I stopped. I remembered all the sleepless nights, the self-doubt, the anxiety. I realized I couldn't let her dictate my emotions anymore. If I did, she would always hold that power. I needed to respond in a way that showed I hadn't been broken, that her silence hadn't stolen my dignity. So I wrote back. "You're back. Fine. But let's be clear. There's no lesson for me here, Claire. Only clarity. I see exactly who you are now, and I hope you see who I am too. I don't need lessons from someone who disappeared without a word." Almost immediately, another message appeared. "I just wanted to see if you'd miss me." I laughed. Not a careless laugh, but a quiet, knowing one. Dramatic? No. I was focused, composed, strong. That month of silence had tested me, and I had survived. I hadn't crumbled. I hadn't chased. I hadn't begged. I had waited, observed, and responded with clarity. She tried to twist the story, make it seem like I'd been cold or distant. But I knew the truth. I had kept living my life, working, paying bills, maintaining my home, taking care of myself. I hadn't disappeared. I hadn't created drama. I simply existed, knowing my worth, waiting to see if she valued it. Her following messages were a flood of vague half-apologies and explanations. I skimmed through them, feeling none of the usual guilt or longing. I felt free. That was the twist. I had expected anxiety, anger, maybe despair. Instead, I felt liberation. All those sleepless nights, all that uncertainty, had led me to a calm I hadn't known existed. By the end of the evening, Claire suggested meeting for coffee. I pictured the scene, her casual, smiling, expecting me to swoon. But I had changed. I wasn't the man who spent 4 weeks obsessing over unanswered texts. I was stronger, wiser, free from manipulation. I replied, "Coffee isn't necessary. I've got everything I need without proving anything to anyone. Lesson learned for both of us, I hope." Her response was immediate. "Wait, what? I thought you'd be happy I'm back." I smiled quietly. That's the thing about growth, it's silent. Nobody sees the inner battles, the sleepless nights, the moments of despair. But when you reach clarity, it becomes armor. You don't need validation, apologies, or explanations. You need yourself. And that's enough. In the following days, Claire tried again, texts, calls, even showing up at my apartment. Calm, composed, polite. Detached, not angry. Every interaction reminded me of that month of silence. And the strength I'd discovered. I realized something crucial. Respect is earned, attention is given freely, and love is never a test to pass. If it isn't mutual, the lesson isn't yours, it's theirs. Eventually, Claire stopped trying. Maybe she expected me to chase her. Maybe she thought she still had control. But I didn't. I moved on, focusing on work, friends, and the simple joys I had neglected while waiting for her attention. And strangely, I felt lighter. Her absence no longer hurt because it had taught me something more valuable than any relationship could. My worth isn't dictated by someone else's whims, and my peace isn't held hostage by anyone. Looking back, surviving her absence was the greatest lesson I've ever learned. Not because she taught me anything, but because I discovered the truth myself. Strength comes not from drama or confrontation, but patience, observation, and refusing to let someone else's unpredictability control your emotions. So when she sent one last message, trying to provoke guilt or attention, I smiled, typed 3 simple words, and hit send. Lesson learned, Claire. And this time it wasn't her lesson for me. It was mine.